Hey everyone, some bad news from the fish room recently. We have had an outbreak of parasites in this 125-gallon aquarium that had been holding our Paratroplus neurosati. And this tank right now, it's a disaster. It looks terrible because I pulled out all the fish and I put them in hospital tanks to treat them for said parasites. And in the process, I just absolutely destroyed the aquascape. So this tank is not pretty. But that's fine, because what we're talking about today is I'm going to share with you how I easily and effectively sterilize my tanks in the unfortunate scenarios where there's been some sort of disease or parasite or bacteria. And this is probably, I think this is probably the easiest and most effective way, but it's also the cheapest. And I'm going to talk you through that. But first, let's cover all the ways you can sterilize a fish tank. Actually, and why you might want to. So even if you treat the fish in the tank itself, there's still a chance that said diseases or bacteria could survive in the substrate, in the filter media. Even if there's a medication that's designed to, kill the disease after it leaves the fish, it's not always guaranteed. There's a lot of different types of diseases out there. So I like to sterilize the tank, just to be very cautious and sure that it won't come back. And there's a few ways to sterilize a tank. One way is bleach. People actually use bleach in their aquariums, believe it or not. And bleach is, of course, very effective, but it's also very dangerous to the fish if there's any left over. And while it does rinse clean very easily from hard surfaces, it can get trapped in the substrate. Or at least I would always be worried that some stays trapped in the substrate. And when you put your fish back in, that's going to kill your fish very quickly. So you can bleach the tank if you remove all the substrate, but that's a hassle. The other way is you can just drain the aquarium and leave it dry for a while, and the desiccation, or the drying out of the diseases, of the bacteria or viruses, that'll kill them too. And it's also very effective, but the downside there is you're out of a tank for much longer than you have to be. And with substrate, I've seen substrate stay wet even after you drain the tank. I've seen it stay wet for months. So that method isn't always feasible for people. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to salt the heck out of this thing. Yeah, I'm just going to put salt in this tank so much that it's guaranteed to kill any living organism in here. And we're going to do this very cheaply by using this. This is a 50-pound bag. I know it's upside down, sorry. But this is a 50-pound bag of Diamond Crystal Solar Naturals salt. And this is the same stuff that you buy as aquarium salt. When you buy aquarium salt to treat diseases in fish, it's the exact same stuff. But this is just a bulk bag. It's marketed to a totally different application, so you don't get nearly the same markup. This bag costs $8, maybe $9, and that is crazy cheap. And what we're going to do is just put a ton of it in this tank. So when you're using aquarium salt to treat sick fish, because it does work as a medication as well, the highest end that you really want to go is 1 tablespoon per gallon of water. And that's definitely the max. Any more than that, the fish are really going to struggle. Some fish, like scaleless fish, wouldn't do well with even that much. But we want to be certain here that this tank is good to go. It's safe for when I do put the fish back in it. So we're going to put in 2, maybe 3 tablespoons per gallon. That is a lot of salt. And in a 125-gallon, that works out to about 18 cups of salt. So I got just a big old measuring cup here, and we're just going to salt the heck out of this tank. And we're just going to let it sit for a day or two, and then I'll just start water changing it out, dilute the salt, and it'll most of the salt will come out just through water changes. And even if there is any left stuck in the substrate, with salt, that's not an issue, because salt can actually be good for the fish. So even if you have some left over that makes its way into the water column, that won't be an issue. You'll get it all out long term with a few water changes. So we put 18 cups of salt in here. That is a lot of salt. I'm very confident that that's going to kill any living thing in here. Now, the downside to that is that's totally going to destroy the beneficial bacterial cycle that we have going on in the filtration and just, in the rest of the tank. But that's, a sacrifice I am willing to make to be sure that this tank is sterilized and it's good to go. We'll just have to recycle it. It's unfortunate, but it's unfortunate that we got this tank sick to begin with. So we do what we got to do. And definitely don't do this if you have plants in your aquarium. The salt will just totally kill the plants. The few green things you see in here, these are artificial, so it's fine. But this approach will not work, unfortunately, for a planted tank. Normally I would mix up salt in the water first before adding it if I were using it to treat fish, but there's no fish in here. So I just dumped it in here, turned the filter back on. The water movement from that'll dilute this salt. So yeah, there we go. We'll let this sit for a couple days, and then once the fish are cured, we'll be able to add them back into this tank, and I will feel much more comfortable with it. So I hope this has been helpful for you. Just a quick little tip. Normally, I do not like to show tanks that are this unattractive, but we had some unfortunate news, and I wanted to share that with you guys, be candid, and also use it maybe as a little bit of a chance to share a tip with you. So hope you enjoyed this or maybe learned a little something. I'll see you guys next time. Take it easy, everyone.